Hey, tea sippers. Hey. Come on in. Let me get everything set up. What it do? Oh, I need some fruit. I need some fruit. Oh, I hope I set it up right. Hey, tea sippers. What in the world is going on tonight? What it do? What it do? Come on in. Please come in hitting the like button. Almost 10. I should have checked the season. Yeah, so we got Candace, Owens. Well, we got some stuff going on. What time? How long is? Woo! Let me go ahead and start. I didn't realize her interview with Hunter Biden was dang near 2 hours. Mm. This is how we jamming out tonight. I need to do a part 1 and part 2. This is how we jamming out tonight, y'all. Calling on the ancestors. You may be able to get a twerk or two in that one, right? Yeah, we haven't prayed the last few days. And we need to pray before we get in. Listen, Candace is gonna help them bust this case wide open, baby. Believe that. Isn't that beautiful? Calling on the ancestors. Hey, hey, Cynthia, Janet. No strings attached. What that mean? No strings attached. Haven't been here for a while. Well, what it do? Welcome back. Hit the like button for me. Who is Jane? Oh, you mean Janet. Come on, y'all. Let's move back. Throw a little hip in there before we go. Yeah, they trying to take our rights. They are trying to take our rights away from us. So we got to summons the ancestors. Okay? But let's pray. Let us pray. Right? Yes. So we gotta move some things around. Let's go. Let's go. Where's the brother with the prayer? Where's the brother with the prayer? Where you at? I just saw you, sir. Hold on. Must have been another device. Y'all coming in, but y'all not hitting the like button. Can you do that for me?
Enhance your membership with the American Express Platinum Card and access over $3,500 in annual value to experience the world. God, I pray that, and I pray all these things in the mighty name of.
Don't shut that prayer from us. I hit the button. I know it's my fault, but don't shorten it, my brother. We need every bit of it. You understand? We need every bit of it. Let's go. Y'all ready? Let's go.
Can I pray for your Thursday? Dear
Absolutely.
God, I pray for the person that is here with me right now. God, I pray that no matter what they are going through, no matter how hard life is right now,
However
that they
hard.
would feel your goodness today.
Yes.
Lord, life can feel overwhelming. There are battles that they may not even have words for.
That's
There are
okay, no
things
strain.
weighing on their heart that
Yes.
nobody else fully understands. But I thank you that you understand completely. Thank you that you see every pain they go
Thank
through.
you.
You see every disappointment. You see every fear. You hear every prayer they've whispered in secret. Father, I pray that today they would feel your
I
peace. Your
pray.
word says in Philippians 4, verse 7, that the peace of God, which surpasses all
All
understanding,
understanding.
will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. Guard their
Absolutely.
heart today. Guard their mind today. Silence every lie of fear, of hopelessness,
Every
of
lie.
discouragement, of insecurity.
I bind it in the
I
name
pray
of
that they would
Jesus.
remember that this difficult season is not the end of their story. Romans 8:28 says that all things work together for the good of
Good.
those who love
Love the Lord.
God and
And
who are
called
called
it.
according to his purpose.
Yeah.
Even this pain, even this delay, even this confusion, somehow you are still working through it for their good. Lord, strengthen them today. Isaiah 41 verse 10 says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Hold them up today when they feel tired. Carry them when they feel weak. Encourage them when they feel like giving up. Father, I pray that they would feel love today, not because life is perfect, not because everything is easy, but because your love never changes. Your word says in Romans 8 that nothing can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Nothing they face today is bigger than your love for them. Father, I pray blessings over their mind, blessings over their body, their family, their future, their purpose. God, let goodness and mercy follow them according to Psalm 23, verse 6. Open doors no man can shut, make crooked paths straight, bring healing where there is hurting, bring hope where there is discouragement, bring light where there has been darkness. Lord, I pray they continue to trust you. Your word says, trust in the Lord with all
All
your
the
heart
heart and
and lean
lean
not
not
on your
to our
own
own
understanding.
understanding.
So help them to lean on you. Help them to remember you are faithful even when life feels uncertain. I pray that joy returns to them today. I pray hope would rise again in their heart. I pray they would laugh again, dream again, believe again, and see beauty in life again. Thank you for your mercy that is new every morning. Thank you that even on their
Every
hardest
morning.
days, you were still good. You were still faithful. You were still working. And I pray that before this day ends, the person here with me would have at least one moment where they clearly feel your love, your comfort, and your goodness in their life. God, I thank you for all you have done, all you were doing, and all that you continue to do in their life. And I pray all these things in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Have a blessed
Amen.
Thursday.
Amen. I hope you receive it. I know it's almost midnight, but I hope you carry it through the night until we pray again tomorrow. Hey, everybody that has come in, please hit the like button. Hey, King. Hey, Mrs. Tom, Joe. Is that all I see? No, I'm Central. It's midnight. Well, let's pop on in here. There's a lot going on. I didn't realize that a girl interview with Hunter Biden was almost 2 hours, but there's some things going on in the world today. So let me just hop on in here. Let's hear this.
against Donald Trump in Congress and blocking major
Chaos.
legislation that Donald Trump thought
Trouble
was
in my
absolutely going
way.
to
Y'all know
pass.
that.
Republicans
Trouble
turning
in
against
my
Donald Trump
way.
is
I
happening.
gotta cry some. I gotta cry sometime. I know trouble. Trouble in my way. That's what's going on today. Rising tension with I gotta cry. Yeah, you know about trouble in my way. Yes, that's a good one. When he said chaos, so let's and they got some in Cuba. I don't know what's wrong with. I guess he ain't gonna never surrender to all his troubles and all his wicked ways. Lord, just please don't let him take us out with him. Please don't let him take us out with him. With all his destruction and evil ways. We're going to add that on in there with the prayer. Amen. Let's go.
Republicans are turning against Donald Trump in Congress and blocking major legislation that Donald Trump thought was absolutely going to pass. Republicans turning against Donald Trump is happening fast, and it's happening furious. We previously reported how Republicans in the Senate joined forces with Democrats and in a 50-47 vote
they left Congress today,
resolution
so they didn't have to vote.
Donald Trump from engaging in further military operations in Iran. So it passed in the Senate. But the question is it going to pass in the House? This will go before the House of Representatives today. Jim Himes, the ranking Democratic member
so that's why they left.
Key Military Committee, says that they believe
absolutely,
they have the Republican votes, and they have a lingering Democrat from Maine, Congressmember Golden, who was previously voting against the Democratic position to block Donald Trump from having war powers. And Democrats believe indeed in the House of Representatives, they will be able to discharge a similar war powers resolution as the Senate, both chambers about to issue a stunning rebuke of Donald Trump's unlawful and catastrophic war in Iran. Now, Donald Trump still has the ability to veto it, and he probably will veto it, but it will be sent to his desk, and it will become very clear that the American people, as represented in both the Senate and the House,
he can play dumb if he wants to.
This war done. This war should never have happened from the outset. It is crushing the American people, and Americans are sick and tired of it. We're going to follow the vote in the House. It's never done. It's never a done deal until it's a done deal, but we're going to be following that. There's other critical pieces of legislation where we see Republicans joining forces with Democrats to block Donald Trump's fascist and disgusting agenda. When it comes to Donald Trump wanting to create a $1.8 billion slush fund to pay January 6th insurrectionists arising out of a purported $10 billion lawsuit that Donald Trump brought in his personal capacity against the Treasury Department and the IRS for a purported leak of his tax returns in 2019 when he was in office as part of a broader tax return leak involving 450,000 other individuals whose tax returns apparently leaked, who didn't sue because there is no valid claim to be brought. It would also be brought against Trump's 2019 IRS. Trump filed this in January 2026, and he also built in a provision that he can't be audited and that he's exempt from any liability from past tax fraud or any past misconduct in not paying taxes. Well, in that situation, Republicans are also joining forces with Democrats, they say, and they're going to try to come up with a mechanism to kill Donald Trump's ability to have this slush fund for $1.8 billion. Republican Congressmember Fitzpatrick literally used those words. I am going to work to try to kill this, to make sure that this slush fund doesn't exist. And he told the Midas Touch Network. The Midas Touch Network has a whole D.C. bureau, as you know, on Capitol Hill. And here's what Congressmember Fitzpatrick, Republican from Pennsylvania, told our Pablo Manriquez earlier in the day. Let's play this clip.
Congressman, what do you make of this $1.7 billion fund for
bad news? We're going to try to kill it.
You're gonna try and kill it? Wow. Okay. And how?
Come on, y'all put
Well,
y'all
we're
best. Hey,
considering
Belinda,
legislative
foot forward.
options. We're going to write a letter.
It's time to make a
to
change,
AG to start,
and
but
we
we're
are the
considering a
people
legislative
who
option.
can do it.
Okay.
We're trying to unpack
It's
exactly,
time,
what the legal machinations
time
are,
to
but
make a
you can't do
change.
that.
Right. And
Yeah.
have you ever heard of any other Americans, like, other than
No.
Trump as an associate?
I haven't.
Who are unauditable by the IRS?
I've never heard that.
Okay. So would that be part of the legislative?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, you can't do that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And you know we have reporters everywhere on Capitol Hill. So then Fitzpatrick spoke with our head of our DC bureau, Scott McFarland, and here's what Fitzpatrick told McFarland. Here, play this clip.
Slush fund for crooks and rioters is at risk of melting right here, right now at the Capitol. A key Republican here in the U.S. House, Brian Fitzpatrick of suburban Philadelphia, a frontline Republican.
Did he say crook and what?
And you know we have reporters everywhere on Capitol Hill. So then Fitzpatrick spoke with our head of our DC bureau, Scott McFarland, and here's what Fitzpatrick told McFarland. Here, play this clip.
Slush fund for crooks and rioters is at risk of melting right here, right now at the Capitol.
Wow.
A key Republican here in the U.S. House, Brian Fitzpatrick of suburban Philadelphia, a frontline Republican, says he is keen on killing this thing. His constituents do not like it.
We also spoke with Republican Congress member Schweikert. Again, very right-wing guy. He's not happy about this slush fund either. This $1.8 billion slush fund. Here's what he had to say. Play this clip.
Any thoughts on the $1.776 billion fund?
Oh, I'm very concerned about it.
You concerned?
Oh, yeah, it's partially, I don't know structurally how you do that. You know, there's already statute to address those agreements.
Thank you, sir.
And then you had Republican Congress member Kiley saying basically the same. He doesn't understand what the heck this fund is about, and nobody should be getting any money.
Biden did the
Participates
same
in an
thing.
insurrection. This is a Republican. Here, play this clip.
I don't,
If you
I
do
don't,
25 leg
King.
raises a day, your apron belly will go
I am
back.
only
If you do
concerned
25
about
leg
what's
presses a day,
going
your
on
peach will
now.
get nice and
I don't. Yeah, I got too much going on now to be trying to go back in time and remember everything Biden did. A lot of stuff that they told us he did was not true. A lot of stuff that they saying that they doing is not true. So that's why I can only be concerned about what's going on right now. Right now. He is so out of control right now until it appears that everything everybody else was doing was somewhat okay. Because nothing in my lifetime feels the way, has ever felt the way it feels right now. And let's just keep it real. So keep going back in time. It didn't affect us the way it is affecting us right now. Yeah, but how much of the what we thought in the past was one way based on a propaganda that we know now wasn't even true. Just like we know now, they never Obama had it set up where they had a good negotiation. So when he come in this time talking about, oh, they can't have one. They can't have one. Yeah, because you two tore up the plan that was already, or the agreement that was already in place, leaving nothing. Leaving nothing. Because the deal that was made, you tore it up because Obama's name was attached to it. And now they don't even want to talk with you. You screwed up so much. So I'm saying that to say we don't know what was the truth in the past. But we know what's going on right now. See, talking about the past is a waste of time when we need to be talking about what's going on right now. We're losing our rights. They're bypassing Congress on a war that was not authorized. So what did Biden do? Because right now, he bypassed Congress for a war that's not even ours. So which is more important? Which is more important? That's how we lose focus. That's how people get lost in the sauce. Respectfully, I'm just saying. So what happened in the past is kind of irritating to me because right now that don't matter.
This is a Republican. Here, play this clip.
No, I'm seeing what's going on right now for myself with my own eyes.
Strange, very unprecedented. It's very concerning.
He bypassed Congress.
I don't know
He can't
why
follow
anyone's
protocol.
receiving money from this fund. That's not the way we typically adjudicate claims if anyone has claims. And certainly I would think that, those wouldn't be people that would be at the top of the list, even if there were a basis for such a payout. So,
But you know what, King? They don't want to fight. The truth is only what you're told. No, the truth is what I see. Right now, I'm seeing it. He's telling us he's winning, but we know that's not true. No, King Days, I can't go with that. Yeah, nothing gets done when everyone just wants to. Everybody don't want to just fight. Just Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. See how you talk? See how you talk is not even truthful. Because they want to make a deal. They want to negotiate. They just can't with Trump because he comes with hidden agendas. Come on, King, what we doing? I don't understand where your head at. I don't understand where your head at. So let's go. I'm trying to get back a little bit. Let's go.
has claims. And certainly I would think that, those wouldn't be people that would be at the top of the list, even if there were a basis for such a payout. So I'm still learning about it. It's a very unusual arrangement. I think that there does need to be congressional oversight into exactly how this came about. And what exactly is going to be the criteria for
Hey, Samantha.
distributions.
More on that slush fund in a moment. Now, the other area that Republicans joined forces with Democrats to kill, Donald Trump's ballroom, $1 billion.
So now the Republicans don't want to pay. Now, that's today. Now tomorrow a threat or something can go out and they may change that. But today, hey, Illis, hey. But today they're saying, okay. Please listen to me. My uncle owns a bar at Fort McCoy. It's been in our family before I was born. My cousin is a general at Fort Bragg down in the my friends Brent from what's HS? What I was trying to say is tomorrow they may change their mind, but right now they're saying enough is enough. And then guess what happened when they started voting down everything? The Democrats and Republicans. Mike Johnson closed the house again. Why? 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 But let's listen.
The criteria for any distributions.
More on that slush fund in a moment. Now, the other area that Republicans joined forces with Democrats to kill, Donald Trump's ballroom, $1 billion. Trump, MAGA Mike tried to engineer this in a reconciliation bill to pay for this golden ballroom where Donald Trump just ripped down the east wing of the White House, and now he's saying that this golden ballroom is actually a, quote, drone empire, whatever that means. It's a shield against drones and ballistic missiles, and there's going to be an emergency room hospital right there at Donald Trump's beck and call. You know, you've seen all the deranged things that he says. It's a gigantic drone empire. Well, the provision has officially been stripped from the reconciliation package. Now, you may be saying, Ben, didn't you report on this over the weekend? Don't give me old news. Not. There's an update. So over the weekend, we learned that the parliamentarian who decides whether certain items, funding items, violate what's called the Byrd rule, It's called taking a bird bath, and you see whether you can pass things through
He
reconciliation.
closes so
The
they can
parliamentarian
send their
makes these
goons
decisions
on them.
about the impact of certain things on the deficit and
No,
how
I
it
don't
impacts
think that. I think they
things from
closed it so they wouldn't have to vote. They were losing. They were joining forces, Republican and Democrats. No, I think that, yeah, they wanted to pause it, disrupt, deflect, not
purposes of a
send their goons
reconciliation.
in.
Well, anyway, the parliamentarian said that this $1 billion ballroom funding violates the bird rule in the bird bath, and it needs to be removed. Democrats challenged the ability for it to be put into a reconciliation package. Then the question is, could Republicans try to revive it?
Yeah, they
make it
reading your
less money,
comments,
chop it
King
up, and
Days.
put it in other pieces of legislation. And Republicans decided at their lunch yesterday, we're not supporting this thing.
Yeah,
We're done with this thing. We're out. And we're not going to help Donald Trump fund the ballroom. He said it was going to be dealt with private funds.
Nah,
So
he
we
lying.
are not
He's
jumping
stealing.
in this at all. Now, this is also, I think, one of the reasons that Republicans are doing this. It's also part of retaliation for Donald Trump not endorsing Texas Senator Cornyn, who's the current incumbent in Texas. Donald Trump instead endorsed Cornyn's opponent, the very, very, very corrupt Texas attorney general, who lots of people think is going to lose in this upcoming election to the Democrat, as the Democrat is significantly ahead right here. You'll see Ken Paxton's the name of the Texas AG who was impeached. He's running against James Tallarico. I'll get to this in a moment.
We've got some big news that is blowing my mind that it's not getting nearly enough attention. So right now, more than 60% of the United States is experiencing drought condition.
Now remember too, Senator Cassidy's been a key vote against Donald Trump on all of these things that I've just mentioned. And what just happened? Donald Trump threw Cassidy under the bus, told people to vote for Cassidy's primary opponent. Senator Cassidy from Louisiana lost his primary, and now Senator Cassidy's out there working across the aisle finally with Democrats. Watch what Senator Cassidy had to say about Trump's golden ballroom. Here, play this clip.
There's no architectural plans. There is no environmentals. There's no engineering. There's no sense of, when we ask, how did it happen? It cost exactly $1 billion. In my mind, that is, it could cost a lot less. It could cost a lot more. I just don't get it.
Now, Senator Cassidy also posted the following message as well. People are concerned about paying their mortgage or rent, affording groceries, and paying for gas, not about putting together a $1.8 billion fund for the president and his allies to pay whomever they wish, with no legal precedent or accountability. This is adding to our national debt. If there needs to be a settlement, the administration should bring it to Congress to decide. So clearly you have Cassidy getting his revenge right there indeed. I mean, you also had Lindsey Graham calling Donald Trump out as well. You know, after
Not Lindsey Borden.
news broke that Donald Trump was considering a letter of intent with Iran, although, you know, this is often fake news when Trump says letters of intent. We'll see what really happens there. Lindsey Graham lashed out at that idea. Lindsey Graham says, while I hope for a diplomatic solution, it must be comprehensive to ensure that Iran is no longer the largest state sponsor of terrorism. It also must be real, and the negotiations must be reliable. I appreciate everyone's efforts in the region to help this cause. I'm hearing that Pakistan's field marshal may travel to Iran. What could go wrong? Maybe he'll report the status of Iranian military aircraft being housed in Pakistani air bases. Like so many, I'm watching very closely what unfolds regarding, yet again, another effort to reach a deal with the Iranian regime. I wish all involved success that is real. That is real. Essentially mocking Donald Trump for fake deal after fake deal after fake deal. Now, we also learned that the IRS previously prepared a 25-page memorandum outlining what they saw as flaws in Donald Trump's frivolous suit against the IRS and the Treasury Department, and they advised the Justice Department to move to dismiss it. This was a frivolous case. There's so many grounds. Statute of limitation, immunity grounds, There's
You want
no
to tell me the
valid cause
reason?
of action under the Iqbal
Hopefully,
and
is to
Twombly
seek
pleading standards at
a better
all. I could
understanding.
go into this and
I
do a whole
believe we
hour
are
video on it.
all
But
victims.
Trump's lawsuit for $10
All,
million alleging he was
absolutely.
emotionally distressed because his 2019
Which is why we need to unify and stop looking at it as left, right, red, or blue, because there's an attack on all of us. You know, they are the divide, not necessarily us. That's why we have to come together. That's why this one right here, this video right here is talking about them coming together. Yeah, because if not, we all gonna sink and fall. We all will sink and fall together. So why not come together now when we see what's really going on? Yeah, you're right. We are all victims.
that is real, essentially mocking Donald Trump for fake deal after fake deal after fake deal. Now, we also learned that the IRS previously prepared a 25-page memorandum outlining what they saw as flaws in Donald Trump's frivolous suit against the IRS and the Treasury Department. And they advised the
was
Justice
stealing.
Department to move to dismiss
How
This is
you
a
gonna sue
frivolous
the
case.
government?
There's so many
Yeah.
grounds. Statute of limitation, immunity ground. There's no valid cause of action under the Iqbal and Twombly pleading standards at all. I could go into this and do a whole hour
You
video
shouldn't have
on it,
been.
but
How you
Trump's
gonna lie
lawsuits
on your taxes? How you gonna cheat the system, then sue the system when your real taxes get leaked? Yeah, you shouldn't have lied. Isn't that perjury? Isn't that a criminal offense? Yeah, you defrauded the government. It's all coming out. It's coming out. It's in the Epstein files. Yeah. Your partner, your best friend for 15 years, he recorded it. He recorded it and it's documented. It's coming out. Treason. Yeah, absolutely. It's coming out.
$10 billion alleging he was emotionally distressed because his 2019 IRS had some contractor who leaked 450,000 people's tax returns. It ain't a lawsuit. It should be thrown out right away. In fact, you should get Rule 11 sanctions for it, not enter into a collusive settlement agreement, then not tell the federal judge about your settlement agreement, have the Justice Department say that they'll never audit you ever, and that
It's
any
crazy.
past tax
So you want to be
liabilities
able
you
to
don't owe.
steal
This could be
for
hundreds
life.
of millions of dollars,
Remaining of your
billions
life.
dollars in benefits to Donald Trump unjustly right there. And so that needs to obviously needs to be called out. And then we have Mike Lindell, Donald Trump's buddy, the pillow guy, saying that he's going to be asking for $400 million from the fund. Here, play this clip.
We actually put into the government
His
a
partner.
couple months ago through following a process that they told us about then. Now, this is new. And we are actually going to get it out there. I don't care which comes first to help my employees that lost millions upon millions of dollars. We had 3 third parties
For
look
stealing.
and do an evaluation of my pillow, what it was prior to all these attacks and what it is now, and all of them averaged $400 million that it cost the brand and cost my pillow. And it's just horrific that our own government could do this to the
Oh my
American
God,
dream.
these con
This
artists,
company
man.
that
I'm
was
telling
built
you.
on the American dream and made in the USA, and to have this happen, this will be it will be a blessing to actually get made some of these my employees made whole that were stockholders.
Another
'cause,
PPP.
in my pillow, and even a lot of them that have lost their jobs, that were affected then, and all this.
Also, Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, says he's going to be asking for $2.5 million. And one of the things that I think were from the fund, the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, they ain't taking our taxpayer dollars. Even Republicans right now are saying no, no, no. And also, I think they're seeing the writing on the wall, what's happening in Texas right now, where a Democrat, James Tallarico, is leading Ken Paxton, who Trump just endorsed. And I think Republicans in the Senate and the House say, wait a minute, Trump is he intentionally trying to destroy us right here? Here, play this clip.
It's simply put, they're looking at the numbers. They are looking at the numbers, and the idea that Democrats can't win in Texas, I want to put that to rest. They could very well do it. James Tallarico could very well win in Texas. And I want to use a comparison point with 2018 because there was all this talk about Beto O'Rourke, right? Oh, could he beat Ted Cruz? He could beat Ted Cruz. The numbers at this point in that campaign, simply put, did not support that conclusion. But the numbers at this point absolutely support the conclusion that James Tallarico can win. So take a look. Texas Senate polls in May of the election year. When you matched up Beto O'Rourke versus Ted Cruz was up by 7 points. He was clearly ahead. But look at the polling average now when you max up Ken Paxton versus James Tallarico. It's actually Tallarico that's ahead by 4 points. And Johnny B, I was looking back at every single Texas Senate race that I could find. And at this point in the campaign, James Tallarico is polling better than any Democrat in at least 24 years. You have to go all the way back to 2002 to find a Democrat even polling anywhere close to where Tallarico is polling right now. Texas, Democrats have dreamt about turning it blue. This time, the numbers actually support the idea that they may actually be able to do it.
I have to say, this is a difference that I have not seen before and I was not aware of, and a lot of people are making the comparison to 2018. One of the reasons is that Ken Paxton, if he's the nominee, not a super popular nominee, and people are like, oh, well, Ted Cruz as an incumbent senator, he wasn't that popular either. So what's the difference between Cruz and Ken Paxton?
Yeah, the idea that Ted Cruz was not that popular, that's a falsehood. That is simply put a falsehood. You go back. Again, just look at these differences right here, okay? Texas GOP candidate net favorability. Ted Cruz's net favorability was actually plus 7 points in my average poll. Look where Ken Paxton is. The complete inverse of that. He's 7 points underwater. So look, again, you just look at the numbers. In 2018, Democrats had this dream of turning Texas blue. The numbers didn't support it in large part because Ted Cruz was actually decently popular. But Ken Paxton is anything but in poll after poll after poll.
Republicans are wanting.
No wonder Republican senators are running scared, especially after
some
that
of the
Trump endorsement of Paxton yesterday.
So then you had Donald Trump's Attorney General Todd Blanche give this bizarre interview with CNN last night. Did you see it? Where Todd Blanche says,
you know, where they all are trying to make money or give free money.
Giving money to people who attacked and try to kill police officers.
For acting like they can't make payroll because of
people who try to attack and kill police officers. Like,
the government.
Literally, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean we give money? No, we don't. This is a deranged, idiotic regime. Here, play this clip.
If you look across the pond,
he talking about what he lost in his business and his employees, trying to come up with another way to milk the system.
Top law enforcement official right now, would you be okay with people who were convicted of hurting police getting taxpayer money?
Just to be clear,
y'all get the lights up.
Police get money all the time. Okay, there's a process where,
oh my God.
where if you believe you have your rights violated, you can apply for funds, you can sue, you can file
white reparation.
a claim, you can go to court. In some of those cases, the state, the government, the federal government settles those cases. It's abhorrent to ever touch a law enforcement officer, which is why anytime anybody does that, and it's a federal officer, will prosecute them. But that's a completely different question with whether an individual is allowed to apply for a claim. Whether they'll get a claim, depends. I can't, it would not be appropriate for me to talk about absolutes, like absolutely not.
My mama used to always say, they make the rules, they break the rules.
But that really wouldn't be fruitful.
Then CNN said, but don't you think the average taxpayer would be upset that, like, your taxpayer dollars are going to, like, insurrectionists and, like, terrorists, like, you're, like, and horrible people, and people involved in J6, to which Todd
that
Blanche
attacked Congress.
Americans would love this. Play this clip.
Now, he really doubled down, insisting not only is this legal, but this is something he says that taxpayers would support because they would want people who have been unfairly treated to be compensated. But Aaron, you and I have been in this business a long time. Nobody who's ever been investigated by the Justice Department or by authorities has been happy or thought
went to court and lost.
It's still a little unclear how they're going to prevent a feeding frenzy of taxpayer funds here. But they have about 30 days to select the members for this committee and lay out more ground rules for how they're going to vet this influx of claims.
Whose idea was the audit addendum? Let's play this clip.
That played no role in my decision.
You too, Candace. Have a good night.
Was this audit addendum?
If you didn't hit the like button coming in, please hit it on the way out.
The president has outside counsel and their counsel of the Department of Justice, not me. And there was negotiations, and this was what was part of those negotiations included a discussion around any pending audits.
And by the way, even Republicans are not buying this. So on all of these fronts right here, war powers, I believe you're going to have the House and the Senate both coming together today. Blocking that will keep you posted. $1.8 billion slush fund. Republicans joining with Democrats blocking that. $1 billion to the ballroom. That's been stripped out of the reconciliation bill for good. Bye-bye to all of that. There you have it. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe.
Let me see what's
Let's get
next.
to 7 million subscribers.
7 million
Thank
subscribers.
you all so much.
Shout out to Ben. What I got next? What I got? Let me. Man. They trying to get it. They in a hurry. They trying to steal everything. Let's see what Mike has to say. Let's go.
Or political benefit to Donald Trump. There's always a personal or political benefit to Donald Trump with every policy or indictment that his administration announces. The latest example, the announced indictment in Miami between the Freedom Tower and the location for Donald Trump's presidential library of the indictment of 94-year-old Raul Castro, former defense minister of Cuba. Now, on the surface, it's a good thing to bring people to justice, whether they're aging Nazis or old communists from Cuba,
Or
especially
arrest Trump.
there's death and destruction that's been alleged in the indictment that they're responsible for. Raul Castro, in particular, according to the indictment, was behind the shooting down with heat-seeking missiles of 2 planes operated by an organization based in Miami called Brothers to the Rescue, trying to provide aid and assistance to Cubans trying to get off the island. 2 of the 3 planes were shot down. 4 people, including 3 Americans, were killed in that disaster. It led to a series of policy changes by the United States against Cuba, led by the Clinton administration, including something we call the Helms-Burton Act and tightening restrictions on Cuba. So, to be fair, bringing him to justice is a good thing. There's a political motivation behind it. And I'm going to unpack it for you here from my vantage point where I live in Miami, knowing the community. Let me tell you what we're watching. First of all, let's talk about the timing. We're in the middle of a terrible, horrendous news cycle for Donald Trump. From his failed overseas mission to China, to his failing and abysmal poll numbers, to a failing economy, to a likely midterm disaster.
Right.
Every hour, every day, it's worse and worse for Donald Trump.
Panicking all over the place.
So he likes to time
Janet.
Political and Department of Justice announcements to coincide with his flailing news cycle and polls. And so out of the blue, after a really bad performance by Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche concerning the creation of that $1.8 billion weaponization fund that's going to apparently be used to pay terrorist and insurrectionist organizations to help them get back on their feet, to refund them, if you will. You've got child sex molesters who are convicted, who are lining up to get paid. You've got right-wing media outlets like OAN who's lining up to get paid. And while all that's going on, there seems to be, it's like crickets. You see no support for this by the Republicans or voters. So what happens? A day after Todd Blanche wipes away Donald Trump's and his family's tax liability of up to $100 million, suddenly we've got a planned announcement in Miami, in the city of Miami, in front of the Freedom Tower, which is a symbol for the Cuban exile community. It's there, Ellis Island. It's an amazing museum. If you're in town, you should visit it. And right next to it is that 2.63 acre parcel of land owned by Miami-Dade College, or had been owned by Miami-Dade College, who transferred it for zero to the state of Florida, through DeSantis, who transferred it for zero to the Donald J. Trump Library, Convention Center, Casino Fund, or whatever it's supposed to be. And there's lawsuits about that in Miami about whether that violates the emoluments clause. So it was no surprise to me to watch Trump put the press conference right at the epicenter of the Miami Cuban exile community, of which Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, is a part. This is also, if you want to get to the politics of it all, and I'll show a clip in a minute with the cheering about the announced indictment. And again, I'm all about bringing people to justice who kill other people, especially in circumstances. I don't care if the Nazi is 100 years old, brought to justice. Same thing with the Castros. I'm talking about the politics and the timing around it. The city of Miami and the county of Miami-Dade are turning blue. And it's pissing Donald Trump off. And he wants to shore up his base as he leads into the midterms.
Yeah.
Eileen Higgins, the mayor of Miami, beat her opponent, and she's a Democrat, beat her opponent by 14 points, the handpicked Trump DeSantis opponent. 14 points. She's the first woman to be the mayor of the city of Miami. She's the first Democrat in over 30 years.
Let's go. Time to make a change.
That started the blue wave.
We are the people who can do it. Let's go.
Not buy Black Girl Vitamins collagen powder if
Amen.
you don't want side effects.
Let's go.
Your hair is growing.
I'm Michael Popak, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas. Heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big autos are every step of the way. Trump and his people around him knows he has a Miami problem.
Like button, please. Hit the likes.
Miami-Dade is led by a Democrat, a moderate. And so, in order to win Florida, a Republican...
Hey, the kickback queen. How you doing?
Has to win and run up big vote totals in the north of Florida, in the west of Florida. But as you come down from Orlando, down the I-4 corridor, and you come down the coast, that's where the Democrat has to ring up lots of votes, including in Miami-Dade and in the city of Miami. When Obama won in Florida,
time to make a change.
He rang up big vote totals in Miami-Dade County. The Democrats want Miami-Dade County back. Trump wants to oppose it. He wants to get Spanish language radio, which is very, very powerful and active.
ID Brown.
To just be talking good things about Donald Trump and MAGA and the Republicans at or around this time. So I wanted to bring it from a perspective of what's the politics going on here. Let me show you a clip of the cheering that was going on. The indictment was announced, not at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami, not in Washington, but right next to the location Trump wants to put up his Trump Library. Play the clip.
Today, we are announcing an indictment charging Raul Castro and several others with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals.
Y'all killed Charlie Kirk, a U.S. national. Blame it on an innocent guy.
This is also part of the plan that Marco Rubio has to take over his ancestral home and do to Cuba what he did to Venezuela.
Right.
Again, not America first, Marco Rubio first. gets taken over an island that his family fled, when the elder Castro Fidel took over. So there's always a politics and a personal gain for anything Donald Trump does. Create a weaponization fund for people who have been damaged. Only if I get my $100 million potential tax liability wiped out
40 acres and a
by
mule.
Todd Blanche
They don't have it,
very
they
next
say.
day.
Yeah, they do.
That's the only reason he does these things. Indict Raul. He didn't indict Raul Castro in the first term when the guy was 80-something. He waited till now when Trump is on his political last legs and on thin ice to pander and curry favor with a very powerful economic and demographic group and political group in Miami. Okay? You've got to ring up the votes with the Cuban American exile community who vote if you're going to win. And there's a series of Congress people in and around Miami. Republican all. Hasn't been a Democrat since Donna Shalala. And a friend of mine, Debbie Mercosal Powell, there hasn't been a Democrat in that region. It's red, red, red. And so that is what's going on when you watch this, and people that, living in Idaho, Oklahoma, Maine, they're like, why are we just getting around to indicting Raul Castro now? This is the backstory you need to know. And I wanted to bring it to you here on Legal AF and on the Midas Touch Network. I'm Michael Popak.
Okay, I'm pressed on time. I'm trying to see what's next. What I already have lined up.
The person who invented this cleaning product is so smart. No matter how dirty your oven is, it will instantly clean with zero scrubbing. Take any dirty surface, spray over the grease or mold, and watch it literally melt away. Its patented nanonet technology.
Republicans are terrified of the House Oversight Committee for obvious reasons. Under Joe Biden's administration, the committee was called the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. The name was changed under the Trump administration to the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. So they literally removed the accountability.
What's your message to people who are calling for a special prosecutor for these Epstein files to get them out?
Well, I think we're getting the files out. I think people
We're
are
lying.
being held accountable. I think that we're going to continue to bring in very powerful people for depositions and try to find answers.
House Oversight Chair Republican James Comer is running scared. How do we know? Well, I got a memorandum over here, dated April 17th, 2026. It's from House Oversight. And what did it say?
Hey, Ronald.
It says that Comer and the Republicans on House Oversight, they don't want to do full committee hearings, the traditional
Look
ones
like
that you see depicted on
Valdemir.
C-SPAN and the news. Why? Because they don't want bipartisan subpoenas to be voted on. They don't want Democrats to do motions, to actually have transparency, because gosh forbid House Oversight does its job, which is oversight over things like the Department of Justice. And look, we have seen a level of success with Congressman Robert Garcia and
Okay, hold on.
Watching Russia's Victory Day parade this weekend, you might think that that country is as powerful as it ever was. But in fact, this year's parade was dramatically scaled back from years past. The event commemorating the country's World War II victory over Nazi Germany is considered a centerpiece of President Vladimir Putin's rule, and it usually features a dizzying display of missiles and tanks. Watching Russia's Victory Day parade this weekend, you might think that that country is as powerful as it ever was. But in fact, this year's parade was dramatically scaled back from years past. The event commemorating the country's World War II victory over Nazi Germany is considered a centerpiece of President Vladimir Putin's rule, and it usually features a dizzying display of missiles and tanks. But this was the first time since 2007 that that hardware was absent. You see, Russia is in trouble. The Kremlin attributed the scaled-back parade to Ukrainian terrorist activity. Many observers suggest that the change was due to potential drone strikes from Ukraine targeting military hardware during rehearsals. This week, a Ukrainian drone hit a high-rise apartment building in Moscow, about 5 miles from Red Square, where the parade takes place. And Ukraine has been stepping up drone and missile strikes deep into Russia's territory, bringing the war back to the country that started it. Late last month, a Ukrainian drone hit a high-rise in Yekaterinburg, more than 1,000 miles from Ukraine. As Bloomberg notes, the city of 1.5 million people served as a base for industry during World War II because it was then considered too far for attacks from Europe to reach. Ukraine is also using drones to attack Russia's oil infrastructure, hoping to hurt its export revenues. As the AP reports, Ukrainian drones have hit the oil refinery and export terminal in the Black Sea city of Tuapse 4 times since April 16th. Residents reported oily drops of black rain after the attacks, and oil from the explosions has seeped into the sea. These attacks and others like them are forcing more and more Russian people far from the
There's
front
a
lines
line.
to grapple with the reality of war.
You are.
That is as the stalemate on the front line itself continues.
I'd
The
rather
Institute
be
for the
a
Study of War
Democrat
reported that in
than a
April, for the first time in nearly 2 years, Russia suffered a net loss of territory in Ukraine. That means that the territory it captured was less than the territory it lost to Ukraine in April. Now, none of this means that a Russian spring and summer offensive won't happen and won't eke back gains, but it suggests the difficulty in securing an outright victory in the war.
Trump met
And a war with no
with
clear
Vladimir
end
Putin
could be a threat to Putin.
and the
Walter Russell
Kremlin
Mead wrote this week in the Wall
and
Street Journal
his
that an
weird
agonizing stalemate would threaten Mr. Putin's grip on power
that pickle
and the future of Russia
put
itself.
corn on the
Financial Times
car.
reports that Putin's approval ratings have fallen to their lowest level since he announced a partial mobilization of reservists in September of 2022. European intelligence leaked to CNN and other outlets this month reveals that
So it's
security
pickle
around Putin has
with
dramatically
Bubba.
increased amid fears of a
We called it
potential
a pickle,
assassination attempt
and you
or
said a
coup
corn on the
coming
cob.
from Russia's dissatisfied political elite. The report says that aides close to Putin have had surveillance systems installed in their homes. His cooks, bodyguards, and photographers are forbidden from using public transport. Staffers working with him can only use phones without the internet, and he spends much of his time in underground bunkers. These measures come amid a wave of assassinations of high-level Russian military and security figures. In December, a senior Russian general was killed by a car bomb, presumably by Ukrainian agents.
Ukraine. Look at that car.
A senior Russian general was killed.
Hold on.
By a car bomb, presumably by Ukrainian agents. The FT reports that Putin's security fears have caused the Russian government to crack down on mobile internet in recent months. Rolling mobile internet outages and blocks on social media apps and VPNs may also be aimed at silencing dissent. But if that's the aim, the measures appear to be backfiring. Several Russian bloggers and influencers have criticized the Russian government for the crackdowns. One based in Monaco addressed Putin in a video last month, viewed by about 32 million people. She said, "The people are afraid of you." In an essay in this week's Economist, an anonymous former senior Russian official wrote, "For the first time since the conflict began, Russians are starting to imagine a future without Putin." People are also reeling from economic woes. While Putin's Russia has benefited from rising oil prices amid the U.S. war in Iran, it's also dealing with bruising labor shortages. As Ukrainian-born Alexander Kolyander writes in The Spectator, though Putin touts Russia's 2.1 unemployment rate as a sign of a booming economy, it's really a sign that the country is running out of workers. Military conscription doesn't help, but the real culprit is long-standing demographic decline. Of course, Vladimir Putin has time and again proven to be a wily and resilient leader. But it is becoming clearer and clearer that his aggression against Ukraine has cost his country dearly.
Your armpit, rinse it on your feet, your bikini line, or your butt crack.
Putin says that the war may be coming to an end, while the Trump administration says talks are in fact stalled.
They're
Is this a
stalled.
real diplomatic opening?
Let's
or
go. I
mostly
like
just
your voice, your
strategic
accent.
messaging from both sides right now?
You know, there's a lot of confusion, even in terms of any predictions. I mean, you do have to look at what
Ukraine
President Trump
isn't
said,
going to
and
give
he
up
said,
their
hopefully,
country
this
to
temporary ceasefire is the beginning of the end. But I think accent on the word hopefully. And then, as you pointed out, Secretary Rubio said things are stalled. And then, if you look at what Putin said, I always like to check the bottom line and the fine print. And what he's saying is, yes, things could be coming to an end, but he's saying, when he even said, I would be willing to sit down with Volodymyr Zelensky in a third country, but not to negotiate, to sign something that already is negotiated. So in other words, the likelihood of that happening very soon is not very great. So I think at this point, things are stalled. And the question is, can they somehow pull this out and get to some type of agreement, which is a big if.
It's very interesting. Check the small print. Both Russia and Ukraine do accuse each other of violating the Victory Day ceasefire. Was this truce ever really meant to advance negotiations, do you think? Could it hold longer?
You know, I think it was really a temporary measure at a very
It was a test.
delicate moment. I mean, that parade was symbolic in so many ways, especially to Vladimir Putin. And to have, you know, drone attacks by Ukrainians on Moscow would be an utter disaster. So I don't think, you know, really President Trump certainly, who apparently asked both sides, he says, to have some type of, you know, ceasefire, that it was a request simply to make sure this did not turn into a disaster. But in terms of long-term, no. Immediately, both sides were accusing each other of violating, and in fact, today I think the Russians were saying that Ukraine violated it 16,000 times. So that's kind of where we are at this point. Again, it didn't really solve much of anything, although you do have to say then that the fact that they are going to trade prisoners is a very good thing. That would be 1,000 on each side, and that's important.
Ukraine's drone strikes are reaching deeper into Russia, as you kind of alluded to there, and forcing tighter security around Moscow. How significant is that psychologically for both the Kremlin and for ordinary Russians?
I think it's very important. I mean, if you look at some of the polling, and again, it's very difficult to do polling in the middle of a war, and especially in Russia. But, you know, indications are that Russians really are becoming very frustrated by the war. It's been going on for a long time. There is a lot of inflation. There are economic problems. People are, actually, there are reports of Russians being psychologically affected by this, depressed and worried about it. And then I think the biggest factor is shutting down the internet in Moscow, which was a very big deal. And a lot of people, a lot of Russians were very frustrated. They went, they tried to go online. At points they couldn't even get online. And that's an indication of something that I think is pretty deep, this frustration that, yes, the Kremlin is saying, we need this for security, but some Russians are saying, no, it goes far beyond that. It's the Kremlin trying to control everything. So this is kind of, I'd say, you know, a growing theme. It doesn't mean that this is going to be a revolution or anything like that, but there is discontent growing, and it's among a lot of different people.
Let's talk a bit more about those Victory Day celebrations because they were noticeably scaled back this year. Less military hardware on display, and even reports about Putin potentially wanting Trump to help prevent strikes on Moscow. What does all of this actually mean?
You know, it was used by both sides, I think, again, in a psychological war. The Ukrainians essentially were saying, look, Vladimir Putin, because he was so afraid that Ukrainians would attack Moscow with drones, that he had to run to President Trump and ask for his help to intercede with Zelensky. Please don't fire. Now, the truth, I think, lies in the middle, that President Trump decided to ask both sides. But however that shook out, both sides were using it. So the Ukrainians, again, showing Putin as weak and scared. And then President Putin said, in a news conference after the May 9th, he said, well, security was one thing, very important to us, but also we were definitely, if there was anything coming from Ukraine, we were bound to reply. And in other words, we would fire back. And they would hit Kyiv. And so he said, I told the Chinese,
Thank you for the cash out,
Indians, and I told the Americans that, you know, there are a lot of diplomats who work in Kyiv, and it would be dangerous for them. So in other words, Putin was trying to use it to say, no, I'm not scared. I was actually threatening these countries with the possibility of what could happen in Ukraine. So again, you know, the war, it's very kinetic, as that word is used so much. It's very bloody and very cruel. But there's also this psychological part of it, which is really, really important, especially in the context of what we were just talking about, the vulnerability that Putin has somewhat at home, because people, the discontent at home.
Get the likes up, please. We're $95 away from the goal.
It is a rare, pointed insight into one of the starkest secrets in Russia, President Vladimir Putin's security protocols. In it, a detailed intelligence report given to CNN by a source close to a European intelligence agency portrays, predictably, a Kremlin in deep crisis. Cooks, bodyguards and photographers working with Putin must have surveillance systems installed in their homes, it says. Putin has stopped visiting military sites this year entirely, it says, in contrast to last year, often spending time in fortified bunkers and keeping clear of some of his main lavish residences, like Valdai. A tactic aided by many of his appearances, and he is in the media a lot, being pre-recorded. His staff cannot use smartphones or public transport, the report adds. Visitors must be searched twice.
Oh, wow.
Increasingly isolated, these fears grow. I mean, just how paranoid is he right now? What are you learning?
Well, I think you don't really have to look very far. Just look at the plans for the Victory Day parade celebrating the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany in World War II for May 9th on Saturday. It's going to be the first time
Cuba has won.
Announced in the middle of the night last week, trying to bury the news. In 20 years, they've done it without the usual tanks, armored vehicles, the ballistic missiles. Usually,
everybody have, I think.
Because they're worried about Ukrainian drone strikes. Ukraine has really improved its ability to strike deep in the heart of Russia. They hit a luxury high-rise building just earlier today in Moscow with drone strike, and that's clearly something he's worried about. He's only really two fully fledged public appearances all year, and that is something that is an increasing concern in Russia.
Dark clouds may rise, strong winds may blow.
Which, among other things, is in charge of air defense, and the suggestion there, we don't know all the reasons, but they clearly have been doing everything they could with air defense in Russia. Ukraine has been very successful in striking Russian energy facilities, both supporting the war and all in Ukraine, and also Russia, fueling Russia's energy exports, funding them. And that's something that they really have to be worried about.
Yes, and all of this is just incredible.
Okay, let me move on to Candace right quick, because I want to hear what Hunter Biden has to say. Y'all get the likes up for me. He's sweet, I know. Bring us through this, Lord. Hey, Miss Gemini. Hello, hello. Can y'all give me some love hearts on the side? Can y'all hit that button over there? Just show me some love. Hit the like button. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Keep them hearts. Make me feel good about it. What we are doing and learning and advancing. All that good stuff. Show me some love and hit the like button. Let's get it started. Yeah, let's go. Deadly warning. Asymmetric. Yeah, I don't. Okay, let me go on here. I was finna cut across. Tribal. Where is she at? Let me go here. Ooh, the infamous bounty.
Thrive Market, an online organic
Did he
grocery
have a
store
new
where
bounty?
your membership gets you access to all the best.
Iran is considering a formal announcement of bounty on U.S. President. Iran is considering a formal announcement of bounty on U.S. President Donald
They're going
Trump
to
and Israeli Prime
they're
Minister
going
Benjamin
to
Netanyahu. The
formally.
move comes in response to the assassination of. Iran is considering a formal announcement of bounty on U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The move comes in response.
And Bibi
Iran is
Netanyahu.
considering a formal announcement of bounty on U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The move comes in response to the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The proposal is yet to be presented before the parliament, but reports suggest that it seeks to offer monetary rewards for the assassination of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. According to the chairman of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the proposal is yet to be presented before the parliament, but reports suggest that it seeks to offer monetary rewards for the assassination of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. According to the chairman of Iran's National Security Commission, Ibrahim Azizi, the bill will be called Reciprocal Action by Military and Security.
Are they going to call it a
Reports
bill?
suggest that it seeks to offer monetary rewards for the assassination of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. According to the chairman of Iran's National Security Commission, Ibrahim Azizi, the bill will be called Reciprocal Action by Military and Security Forces.
I need for y'all to hit the like button. Double tap the face of your screen. Double tap. You know, like that. There's 3 dots right here at the top right corner. Oh my. It's free. Just double tap if you're listening in on your phone device. Just like that. If you're on a tablet or computer, there are 3 dots. Hit those 3 dots and it'll take you where you will be able to hit the like button. The quicker we do so, the quicker we can resume. Oh my goodness. Now, I knew about Trump. But they saying not only is there a bounty on Trump, there's a bounty for Bibi Netanyahu. But he already gone. So I guess they want him and the clones. They want everything. Before Trump, Andrew was the worst president ever in history of U.S. Ooh, wee, man. They want them both. Batman and Robin? I mean, what's that lady? Miriam? Is she Lois Lane? I mean, what get the thumbs up. Hit double tap. My mods are working too hard to get y'all to support the platform and hit the like button. Trump 21st century is the worst part. He is absolutely the worst president ever. Ever. And we thought they were bad before. I almost made that Bobby Womack, but nah, I couldn't pull that one off. Can y'all get the likes up?
According to the chairman of Iran's National Security Commission, Ibrahim Azizi, the bill will be called Reciprocal Action by Military and Security Forces of the Islamic Republic. The bill currently in works will offer $58 million for the assassination of Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. According to the chairman of Iran's National Security Commission, Ibrahim Azizi, the bill will be called Reciprocal Action by Military and Security Forces of the Islamic Republic. The bill currently in works will offer $58 million to the person who assassinates Trump. The proposed legislation marks a major
so it don't went up.
Past when calls to assassinations were announced using religious
58 million for Trump.
This time, Tehran seeks to do it via a formal parliamentary action. The move could further escalate tensions between both sides. US President Ali announced that he called off planned strikes against Iran at the request of Gulf nations. He also said that serious negotiations are underway to achieve law.
Y'all, $58 million bounty on Trump.
Via a formal parliamentary action. The move could further escalate tensions between both sides. US President Ali announced that he called off planned strikes against Iran at the request of Gulf nations. He also said that
so the guards, the military, hint, I need military on White House ground. I need a hospital too. I don't need to leave the White House for nothing. $58 million, huh? That's why he want. Yeah, he want the ballroom. He need the hospital. He need the daycare down in the dungeon and the bunkers and stuff. I sang it. He got a $58 million bounty on his head. I don't need to leave for nothing. And if you come to see me, you will stop at the military base on White House grounds. I need to be able to sneak some people in a tunnel so I will be able to resume my filthy, trifling, nasty ways. He belong in his own prison, Alcatraz. Yeah, 58 mil, huh? Only accepting DoorDash. Hold up. And I only want that crisis actor, that lady that I already put out there, that granny, that's husband has the C word. And she's a granny and she working for her grandkids. I only want her. I'm familiar with her. Anybody else won't do. 99.5 won't do. No. I only want to deal with the actress. That's scripted. Yeah. Ain't that what they say? Yeah, nobody else will do. I trust only a few people, and it ain't even MAGA. They are beginning to see the devil in me. They are beginning to not be afraid of all my evil ways. Who will be able to help me through this? Who? Who? When have we ever had military based on the White House lawn? What in the world? 58 million. Now, okay, so let me take this out my ear. Because y'all remember, and I thought about this stuff, McDonald's, Big Mac, filet of fish, and a Diet Coke. Can I get some fries? Hot fries. I don't want the ones that's been sitting up there, up under that light all that time. Can you clean the grease for me? They said I got cholesterol issues. I still want my burger and fries, but I think I need some clean oil. I think some of that, what's his name, Bill Gates, no salt. Shit, them fries ain't good without no salt. I don't think I want them seed oils. I'm beginning to think that's why my hand is purple, blue, green shit. Maybe it's something too that they trying to unalive folk through them burgers. But I like now. I'm accustomed to eating people. I'm down, with that, human, I know. But I think that seed oil is beginning to work a little overload my body. I think that's why I can't hold my bowels. No, that ain't it. That's Sasha Riley. Yeah, Sasha Riley left you with a souvenir. Yeah, he left you with a fork and knife. Let me finish now, y'all stop. $58 million bounty on his head, Lord.
$58 million to the person who assassinates Trump. The proposed legislation marks a major shift from the past when calls to assassinations were announced using religious fatwas. This time, Tehran seeks to do it via a formal parliamentary action.
58 mil.
The move could further escalate tensions between both sides. U.S. President Ali announced that he
how much for Bibi Netanyahu
at the request of Gulf nations. He also said that serious negotiations are underway to achieve long-term peace agreement between Tehran and Washington. Iran has communicated its revised demands to U.S. According to Iranian media, these demands include right to enrich uranium, ceasefire on all fronts, lifting
y'all listen to this again
from the past when calls to assassinations were announced using religious fatwas. This time, Tehran seeks to do it via a formal parliamentary action. The move could further escalate tensions between both sides. U.S. President Ali announced that he called off planned strikes against Iran at the request of Gulf nations. He also said that serious negotiations are underway to achieve long-term peace agreement between Tehran and Washington. Iran has communicated its revised demands to U.S. According to Iranian media, these demands include right to enrich uranium, ceasefire on all fronts, lifting of U.S. naval blockade, release of frozen Iranian assets in full, end of all economic sanctions, and withdrawal of U.S. military from the Persian Gulf region. The U.S. president is yet to respond to Iran's peace proposal. Qatari officials say the negotiations between Iran and the United States need more time. But both sides have refused to tone down on war threats. After U.S. president announced halt of planned attacks, Iran says that it will open new fronts if the war resumes.
Wow. What do we think about that?
These to
Oh
clear
my
brain
goodness.
fog.
Oh my
Let me
goodness.
explain. This isn't your typical herbal book. It's a
Oh
manual.
my goodness.
Digestion
Oh
issues?
my.
Flip
Play
to
too
gut
much.
section. You'll find ginger plus.
They done upped it. They done upped it, y'all. Wait, what? Stand with her. Oh, Putin wants Trump against Cuba invasion. Oh my God. Oh my God. Master stroke. What? India. Y'all, this ain't looking.
Cold War shadows are creeping back into the Caribbean as U.S. pressure on Cuba intensifies. Russia has stepped forward with a blunt message to Washington. Cuba will not stand alone. Hours after the United States unsealed murder charges against former Cuban leader Raul Castro and deployed the USS Nimitz carrier strike group into the Caribbean, Russia declared its total solidarity with Cuba and promised active support for the island nation. Maria Zakharova accused U.S. of intimidation, blackmail, and trying to tighten what she called a sanctions noose around Cuba.
White House administration's attempt to tighten the sanctions noose around Cuba, along with the long-standing trade, economic, financial, humanitarian, and more recently, fuel and energy blockade, is a direct reflection of Washington's intolerance toward any dissent and a cynical embodiment of the revived Monroe Doctrine.
What?
We are confident that the heroic Cuban people who have repeatedly demonstrated their commitment to the ideals of freedom, independence, and social justice, and who have shown remarkable resilience and courage in the face of external challenges, will maintain their unity and strength of spirit and will continue to selflessly defend their national interests.
The tensions escalated after U.S. prosecutors announced criminal charges against Castro linked to the downing of civilian aircraft flown by Miami-based Cuban exiles. The move marked a major escalation in Washington's campaign against Cuba's communist leadership.
He seemed like he enjoyed
Castro's revolution.
China. That Chinaman
we are
more.
announcing an indictment charging Raul Castro and several others with conspiracy to kill
This is a deflection.
U.S. nationals. Mr. Castro and the others are charged with additional crimes as well, including destruction of aircraft and 4 individual counts of murder. The indictment was returned by a grand jury sitting in this district in Miami on April 23rd, 2026, and was unsealed today. For nearly 30 years, the families of 4 murdered Americans
Trump is
have
barking
waited.
up the wrong tree.
If you are over 60 and you cannot sleep through the night,
I agree.
You are probably making one of these 3
for justice.
The Trump administration has simultaneously increased economic pressure on Havana as Cuba struggles with severe blackouts, fuel shortages, and a worsening economic crisis. Earlier this year, Russia openly challenged the U.S. blockade by sending an oil tanker to Cuba, describing the shipment as humanitarian assistance.
In this regard, we reaffirm our full solidarity with Cuba and strongly condemn any attempts at gross interference in the internal affairs of a sovereign state, as well as intimidation, the use of illegal unilateral restrictive measures, threats, and blackmail. We will continue to provide the most active support to the fraternal Cuban people during this extremely difficult period.
The military optics added another layer of tension, with U.S. Southern Command announcing the deployment of the aircraft carrier Nimitz and accompanying warships into the southern Caribbean. Speculation fueled that Trump may be considering a Venezuela-style operation against Cuba.
That's what he's planning
Trump
on.
has warned that the United States could pursue what he called a friendly takeover of Cuba unless sweeping political and economic reforms are implemented. Russia's response on Thursday suggested Moscow intends to stand firmly behind Havana as the confrontation deepens.
But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no
Quit lying.
money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis.
No.
Cuba repeatedly demanded that the United States government take action, and it failed to do so. And therefore, we are facing an act for which the United States government bears absolute responsibility. The comrades charged here in this indictment acted in fulfillment of a duty, the duty to
distraction.
protect the airspace,
When he start outright lying, that's all it is a distraction.
Therefore, what was done today was not an act of justice. It was an act of injustice against a group of Cuban comrades, starting with the Army General, who were fulfilling their duty.
It's a provocation to justify invading the country. And what that will bring is bloodshed on both sides. And I don't think it's right because there's no reason for it. Besides, Cuba is no threat to them because what does Cuba have? Do we have an atomic bomb? Do we have anything? We have nothing. Do you understand? And the reason we're going hungry is because of culpa de ellos.
A decades-old aviation tragedy is suddenly reigniting tensions between Havana and Washington. And now Cuba is issuing a stark warning. Touch Raul Castro, Cuban officials say, and fierce resistance will follow. Cuban Deputy Foreign Minister Carlos Fernandez de Cosillo has accused the United States of using fresh legal charges as a possible excuse for military action against a sovereign nation. His warning came after U.S. prosecutors announced charges tied to the 1996 downing of 2 aircraft belonging to the group Brothers to the Rescue. The incident over the Florida Straits left 4 people dead and remains one of the most explosive chapters in U.S.-Cuba history. Among those accused, former Cuban leader Raul Castro, along with several former officials and military figures allegedly linked to the operation. Havana's response was immediate and defiant. Fernandez de Cosillo insisted Cuba acted in defense of its sovereignty and the peace of its people. He argued that U.S. authorities had been repeatedly warned about the organization's air incursions, but failed to stop them.
Cuba acted firmly to defend its sovereignty. These actions protected its sovereignty and global peace, fully exercising its sovereign rights. After demonstrating a great deal of patience and tolerance over the many years, it exercised its sovereign right to protect its own airspace and the peace of the people of Cuba. That is the undeniable historical truth. That is the absolute truth of the facts. Cuba repeatedly demanded that the United States government take action, and it failed to do so. And therefore, we are facing an act for which the United States government bears absolute responsibility.
They're going to try to do it like Venezuela.
Here in this indictment acted in fulfillment of a duty, the duty to...
He trying to get us out of here. He don't want to face them Epstein files.
Of the Cuban people.
He's starting wars with, but he don't want to call it a war. I thought he couldn't call it a war.
It was an act of injustice against a group of Cuban comrades, starting with the Army General, who were fulfilling their duty. This particular accusation carries with it an additional and very serious threat, given the well-documented and dark practice of the United States government of consistently utilizing these types of accusations as a pretext to launch military action against sovereign nations, which is something that is unfortunately all too well known to the world. It must be made clear that any attempt to use this excuse for action against these comrades within Cuba will be met with fierce resistance from the Cuban people. That is what I can say regarding these accusations.
You don't need Botox to contour your
Wow.
jowls. You just need a dash of mountain arnica. This is an
Likes up, please.
medicinal secret.
Double tap the face of your phone.
Residents in Havana pushed back against the U.S. accusations. Some rejected the possibility of outside intervention altogether. Others argued Cuba's problems should be solved internally, not through pressure from Washington.
Right off the bat, I think it's a disgrace, like so many things these people do, which they do constantly. And so for people with such high morals, such prestige, with all that, and the history Cuba has, it's just immoral.
It's a provocation to justify invading the country. And what that will bring is bloodshed on both sides. And I don't think it's right because there's no reason for it. Besides, Cuba is no threat to them because what does Cuba have? Do we have an atomic bomb? Do we have anything? We have nothing. Do you understand? And the reason we're going hungry is because of
Yeah, he gonna build.
Everything they are telling us is completely fabricated, just a convenient excuse to justify a full-scale military invasion. It is exactly the same as the situation with the oil or those claims about the suffocation. It is just another tired, recycled lie. Do you actually remember
A
how all of this first
recycled
began? They
lie.
said it was for Raul Ponte, or that he is a cold-blooded murderer, and although it is always the same predictable story
They
being
on
told
point.
over and
It's a
over.
recycled lie.
If I had flown a small plane into the United States and crossed over, they would have shot you down too, thrown you in prison, and given you life. So I don't know why they get upset or why they get angry when international laws have to be respected. That's not up for debate. Anyway, they are trying to gradually weaken this whole ruling apparatus in Cuba with one thing today and another tomorrow to keep weakening it, to see if they can change it, because they know that the issue of aggression here doesn't work. It's a non-starter. No one is going to agree to hand over Raul, not Raul, but any Cuban, because we Cubans must protect our own.
Right.
And we are not going to hand over
I
any
agree with
Cuban
him.
to a foreign country because that would be immoral. It would be an act of treason.
Well, Donald Trump doesn't really prosecute anyone. But setting that aside, let's consider the shooting down of that small aircraft. Let's take an example. If the situation were reversed, if Cuba had sent that small plane into the United States and we were to arrive in Miami, what would they do? They would shoot us down just like a bird using their Patriot missile. So honestly, what are we even talking about?
Both governments should come to an understanding and reach an agreement. A military intervention in Cuba? No, I wouldn't want that because my daughters are out on the streets. I'm out on the streets too, and I really don't think a military intervention would be a good idea. And the one in office today is a different president, and I don't think we need to look for someone to prosecute in order for Cuba to change.
I don't think there's any need for anyone from the outside to come in and fix the problems that Cubans themselves, along with their government, should be able to solve. It's as simple as that.
It's a no for them. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Okay, let's go to Candace. Let's get this. Y'all get the lights up. Y'all not hitting the like button. Dang, I wanted to see that. We're going to Candace. Owens. Hold on. I'm waiting for y'all to get the lights up. Hold on. Yeah, they haven't moved at all. hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Can I get some hearts on the side? He got a whole bounty. They have increased it from 8. Oh man, did she take it down? And maybe why I don't see it. Let me see. I think she took it down. Yeah, I think she took it down. I know she was doing clips on it. Hold on, what's his name? Because I just saw it, and I said
Stop paying
it
those
was an
greedy
hour and
telecom
50
giants
some
outrageous
minutes.
monthly bills. The era of being ripped off by monopolies officially ends in 2026. Introducing the Zoe-Fi X 10th Gen AI.
Tough, and I don't give a shit.
I am so excited to introduce you to our latest sipping bone broth at Brodo. Our Tom Yum is rich with creamy coconut.
She took something out.
Hunter
No.
Biden. Welcome to the
Y'all
Candace
ready to
Owens
get the
Show.
lights up?
People are just going
I
to be like,
keep asking
how
y'all
on
to get the
earth did
lights
this
up, and y'all
happen?
haven't. What are we doing?
I got
Y'all
to give
don't
them a
know
bit of a
how?
backstory. So
What's the problem?
I went to dinner with a fellow podcaster, and we were just
What we doing, y'all? Y'all forgot how to
talking
hit the
about
like button?
interviews. We don't do too many interviews on the show, and he first asked me what was the best interview I ever did, and I said, Hunter Biden. Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
It's wonderful to be
People are just going to be like, how on earth did this happen?
I know.
I got to give them a bit of a backstory. So I went to dinner with a fellow podcaster, and we were just talking about interviews. We don't do too many interviews on the show, and he first asked me what was the best interview I ever did, and I said, without question, the USS Liberty survivor, Phil Turney. And then he said, what would be your top interview that you'd want to do? And I said, oh gosh, we're in such a different time now. Like, I'm just not interested in politics. Hunter Biden. Welcome to the Candace Owens Show.
It's wonderful to be
People are just going to be like, how on earth did this happen?
I know.
I got to give them a bit of a backstory. So I went to dinner with a fellow podcaster, and we were just talking about interviews. We don't do too many interviews on the show, and he first asked me what was the best interview I ever did, and I said, without question, the USS Liberty survivor, Phil Turney. And then he said, what would be your top interview that you'd want to do? And I said, oh gosh, we're in such a different time now. Like, I'm just not interested in politics. Like, it would have to be something so different. And then I said, actually, Hunter Biden. And I said to him, I watched your sit down with Andrew Callahan.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the most refreshing interview that I had seen in politics in a very long time, because we're so used to being gaslit about various things happening. Everyone's trying to hide stuff. And we read a lot about you. I guess we didn't really hear anything from you. So this was kind of the first time that I heard you in your own words, just totally owning your addiction issues, also going after Jake Tapper and George Clooney. And when we were kind of expecting the typical Democrat, like, these are great guys, these guys are amazing, Jake Tapper should, win a Pulitzer, I don't know. And I would just, it wasn't what I was expecting.
is what I would say. So, and then that person just sort of made this happen.
Yeah.
So I want to just sort of get into the Hunter Biden story. I will say to the audience right now, I have already made the pledge right when I got on the phone with you that, like, obviously I'm not going to make you say anything bad about your father, because that would just be completely demonic to be like, say something terrible about your
Very
father. Everyone knows my
disrespectful.
opinions, my political perspectives. They're already out there. He is your dad. So that is separate from
I
my
appreciate it,
viewpoints.
because there's no way I possibly could.
Yeah, of course. I totally get that. But there's a lot to be said about you, and a lot that I guess hasn't been said about your journey. And I guess I want to start with just one question for the culture. The cocaine that was found at the White House, was it yours?
No, not only was it not mine. No, number one is thank you for having me here. And one of the reasons is to be able to answer these questions. You know,
Wow.
The Hunter Biden story, I will say
she
to
went
the audience
straight
right
to
now,
it,
I
didn't
have
she?
already made the pledge right when I got on the phone with you that, like, obviously I'm not going to make you say anything bad about your father, because that would just be completely demonic to be like, say something terrible
Disrespectful.
about your father. Everyone knows my opinions, my political perspectives. They're already out there. He's your dad. So that is separate from
I
my
appreciate it,
viewpoints.
because there's no way I possibly could.
Yeah, of course. I totally get that. But there's a lot to be said about you, and a lot that I guess hasn't been said about your journey. And I guess I want to start with just one question for the culture. The cocaine that was found at the White House, was it yours?
No, not only was it not mine.
Did she just go in? Baby, I love Candace, baby. She is going straight in, straight, no chaser. What's the point of fooling around? I'ma get straight to the point. Straight to the point. How was it yours?
No, number one is thank you for having me here. And one of the reasons is to be able to answer these questions. You know, the one thing I am, after 6 years of this, I've been sober since June 1st of 2019, clean and sober.
Awesome.
Verifiably so.
Congratulations.
By the way. And verifiably so by the Bureau of Probation, in which I was drug tested randomly for over the course of 2 years while I went through my trials and things like that. But beyond that is that, directly to your question, I wasn't even there. Not only there, but people have to understand is where that cocaine was found was, you know, the visitor's entrance underneath that is where visitors come in and they come over from the old executive office building staff to go to the Oval or go to the chief of staff's office or to the offices in the West Wing. And it was found in a cubby in right outside of the Situation Room. And it's like no possibility, not even remotely, beyond the fact that I wasn't even there. I mean, I spent probably, you know, over the course of 4 years, maybe.
Hey, Charlie.
25 days at the White House, like 25 nights, 30, if I, you know, am being fair. And so it's just a, you know, it was an easy, you know, I'm an easy target, and understandably so.
Right.
I mean, I've been, I think, probably the most famous addict and famous person, with the grace of God, in recovery for 7 years, or close to 7 years, June 1st. So.
Yeah, I definitely thought you were on drugs while your father was in the White House. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it might have just also been the timing of the laptop coming out and then people just assuming that you were still on drugs. I don't know, but that might have been why in our heads we thought that.
I think that it was that they purposely conflated, you know, I wrote a book which came out in April of 2021, in which I did something that very few people, I think, ever in that are kind of like similarly situated to me do, in which I was 100% frank about the fact that not only was I an addict, not only was I alcoholic, I don't really see the distinction between the two when they're both drugs, but I was a crack addict. Like, I was a degenerate crack addict. I mean, I've heard you call me a crackhead many times, and the truth of the matter is, I was a crackhead.
Yeah.
And I say that not to shock people, because it's really shocking. Crack cocaine carries such a stigma to it to begin with. But I say it because I think that there are so many people. I don't think, I know. There are so many people. I think that there's, at any given time, 30 million Americans that are either in active addiction or in recovery. There's not a single person that I know that hasn't been impacted by addiction at some level, in some form, personally or with someone that is 1 degree of separation from them that they love. No one that I know.
Least of all me.
Yeah, and part of that, one of the reasons I'm here, the stories that you tell about that in terms of
My family.
your family, and there is where the common ground is for me. I can 100% say this is that a friend of mine gave me this quote about 2 years ago, and it's become my mantra. It's Mother Teresa. It was attributed to Mother Teresa. Is if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. That's my everything now, and part of that is not just the family that you have by blood and birth, but also the community that you're inextricably tied to. And that community for me is the recovery community. And it's people that are still sick and suffering from addiction. And so the biggest reason that I wanted to come talk to you, beyond the fact, and this is not me blowing smoke, I think that regardless of whether I agree with you, that you're probably the most effective communicator I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Behind a microphone. And it's really driven me crazy at times. It really made me mad. Yeah. But is it? I wanted to talk to you about those things and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm most interested in the addiction story, and I was saying to you before we started rolling that this was sort of something that I noticed when I would cover various topics, whether it was pornography, drugs on my show, drinking, how many men would write and say they were suffering with various things, and yet they don't often speak about like how they're quietly suffering, whether it's with addiction to pornography, addiction to drugs, and I don't think there are enough conversations about it. And so when I watched that interview of you just laying it out there, something that most people try to hide or they're shameful of, I was like, there actually just needs to be more dialogue about it. I grew up with tons of addicts in my family. I have people in my family who are still addicted, and I think there is a natural anger that people have when they, for some reason, believe, and I think this was part of the anger that that I had it toward you before I heard you speak about your addiction, is that you sort of think when somebody has money and political connections that somehow removes them from going through these sorts of barriers in life. So when I grew up, it's like, oh, okay, like you have uncles, whatever, that are addicted to crack, you have cousins that are doing crack, whatever it is, or experimenting with meth and drugs and those things, and then you see someone that has a life of privilege, and for some reason in your mind you wrongly go, okay, that can't happen. And it did happen, and I'd like to hear like how you got addicted, like what was actually the story, your path toward addiction.
Yeah, so thank you for letting me talk about that, or asking me about it. And I really mean it. It's one of the things that traps people. I can only speak about myself, but I think that people that are in that are addicts or that are in recovery, also you find out really fast is that you're not as terminally unique as you think you are. Is that and one of the things that that is really important about addicts talking to each other and talking about it is that realization, because one of the things that traps you in your addiction is shame. And you like me are Catholic, and we have learned that guilt is an appropriate emotion. Guilt is an appropriate response to something when you've done something wrong, and you're supposed to atone for it, and you're supposed to seek forgiveness, whether the forgiveness comes from an individual or not. That's the lesson. Is that it is in only through seeking that forgiveness can you release yourself from that guilt. That's appropriate. Shame is not. Shame is just absolutely corrosive. Shame is you telling yourself that you're not worthy. that you're never going to be worthy, that the things that you've done you could never be redeemed from. And I've done horrible things in my addiction in terms of what I did in terms of my relationships and decisions that I made, and more than anything is just removing myself from being present for the people that love me. And what happened to me, and I really mean this, is that the exposure, not piecemeal, but the total exposure, my entire digital footprint stolen from me, a 20-year digital footprint, every text message, every picture, all of the things that you would be ashamed of became front page news for 4 years, 5 years, beginning in 2019. And it forced me into a choice. And the choice was, do I get out of bed and live, or do I die? And it became that much of a dichotomy. And I chose to live. It wasn't easy, and maintaining sobriety in that kind of like a pressure cooker is often the thing that triggers you. But something broke in me in a good way,
Hey,
which
Miss
was that
Gemini.
I no longer have any fear. I like, sitting down with you is, to me, an opportunity for you to see me.
Oh.
As a human being, and not, Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah.
And the pictures that, Congressman Green, put up in Congress, or the New York Post. I think I was on the cover of the New York Post in 1 year more than anybody in the history of the paper, and none of it was good. None of it was good. And but what it's given me is the opportunity to own it all, is to own all of my story without shame or fear.
What about Obama's daughter? Come on, Miss Gemini.
I have a community of people
where did that come
out
from?
there that I want to be of service to. I really mean that, and so. And
please don't come over here making up
stuff. By me being able
stuff.
to be honest about it. We were just talking before we started.
Respectfully, please don't come over here making up stuff. Please don't come over here repeating whitewash. Don't do that. We don't want that fake propaganda over here. This don't have anything to do with the Obama's daughters. That's so very disrespectful. Miss Gemini, did you hit my like button? Have you supported my platform? Miss Gemini, my likes have not went up. I need support from you on my platform if you over here spreading lies. Now what the you talking about? Y'all say bye to Miss Gemini. Yeah, you making up stuff and want to be able to lie. No.
This is the hardest thing for any addict to do is not only get honest with the people that they love, but to get honest with themselves. And until they can really see themselves for who they are, all of it, and decide to love themselves, then
just bring up to Obama daughters for what?
At least in my experience, that's the truth.
Where should you invest $100 today? Well, according to Elon Musk, anyone who invests...
I think one of the things...
Did I even answer your question?
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the first time that you got introduced to it, because that's interesting.
Oh, I know. I went into all the good stuff.
Actually, start with that. Like, how did you actually get introduced? First off, describe for people who don't know the difference between cocaine and crack, because crack is a lot more addictive.
Crack is wet.
What is the difference?
I know. I got a lot of heat for...
No, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I was like, well, he's actually very educated
Yeah.
on this. And
Well, it's important to me to make the distinction that there's this idea that there's this kind of a secret kind of special
Yeah, I didn't know she was
enhancement
going like that.
to powder cocaine that makes it into crack, and you have to have some technical degree in order to be able to do that.
And then start getting all all
Let's
that
start
ghetto
all the way
stuff.
at the beginning. I think that I'm genetically predisposed to being an alcoholic. I do believe that there is a genetic piece of it. I do believe that my brain works differently as an addict in terms of the way in which my synapses fire once they're introduced to the dopamine hit and the serotonin increase that occurs because of an introduction of a substance. I believe that that I became acclimated and physiologically dependent upon that when I started to drink in earnest when I was in college, in which you can control. And I made it through Georgetown, and I went to Jesuit Volunteer Corps for a year, and it's kind of like domestic peace. Well, the JBC. Yeah. I was JBC for a year after college, and then I went to Yale Law School. Was married, had my oldest daughter when I was a first year law student. Made it through all of that, and made it through my first years of employment, drinking probably more than everybody than most people do, but completely functional. And one day I woke up when I was 33 years old to my brother calling me and saying, "This has got to stop. Like, you got to stop." And what he meant is that like a whole weekend was missing, kind of, and I said okay, and he drove me to the airport, and he put me on a plane in New York, and I flew to a place that was started by Eric Clapton called Crossroads in Antigua, and I went to rehab, and I came out, and I went directly when I came out. My brother picked me up from the airport, drove me to an AA meeting, walked in with me, DuPont Circle in D.C. I met my sponsor at that first meeting that I ever went to, and I stayed clean and sober for about 7 years, and then I relapsed, and it was such a mundane, stupid story. I was on a plane by myself. Everything was okay. Things were looking
What
up.
about your mama?
Normal life.
See, I mean,
pressures,
why
but it
would
was
you
all
do
good.
that?
And that's the real insidious thing about addiction and alcoholism. It never goes away necessarily. There's always the answer that is being presented to you by the thing that you trust the most, which is your brain. And what it says is, if you don't want to feel this way, whatever the way is, or if you want to feel this way even more, I have the answer for you. And I was on a plane by myself, and I had a drink. And that drink in 2010, 7 years almost of sobriety, started a cycle of relapse and recovery, and relapse and recovery, in which it was really hard for me to be honest with the people that love me, because I just wanted to hide it. I just wanted it to go away. And I thought, okay, I'll get through this cycle, and I'll sleep it off this weekend, and that's it. I'm done. And that would last a week, and then it would last 3 months, and then I went back to rehab, and then it became then I came back, and I started, I mean, you talk about this all the time, which I love that you do. It was big pharma, you know what I mean? I had shingles, and so somebody prescribed me like 52 oxycodone, ridiculous, and I started that, and then I started drinking again, and the prescription ran out, and then the cycle just started to happen. And, but when my brother died, it all fell apart. Bo and I were, and I don't purport that our relationship was unique, or that his loss was greater than my loss of him was greater than anybody else's loss of their brother or someone that they deeply love. But when my mom and sister and my Bo and I were in that car accident in 1972,
Oh wow.
Oh.
Don't tell my wife. I just got this popcorn from Opal Pops.
And we survived. It was the two of us every day. We're a year and a day apart. We talked every day. I mean, except when he was in Iraq, I literally probably talked to my brother every day. And when Bo died, my marriage fell apart after 20 years, 22 years. By the way, for reasons that marriages fall apart, you know, and but I take a lot of responsibility for it. And it just started a really, really dark cycle. In the past, when I would have these relapses, there was always someone in such proximity to me that they would that I couldn't escape. In this instance, Bo was gone. Right after Bo died, I ended up separated from my wife, like within a month. And my dad, for the first time in my life, who was my rock, was stuck in his own grief, like deep, deep grief. And I just went down into a hole. And I checked myself into a rehab that year and came out, stayed sober for a while, and then relapsed, and then went into an outpatient program in DC where I went 4 hours every day for from 8 to 2 or 6 hours every day. Stay sober, and then I relapsed, and I came back, and they said, "Well, you have to." I admitted to them that I relapsed, and that in this instance I also used cocaine, and they said, "Well, you have to take a drug test," and I said, "I'm not going to take a drug test. I'm not going to put something on." It's because it's not protected by HIPAA in a rehab scenario, which is crazy, right? Yeah. Anyway, long story short, they said, "You can't come back in unless you take the drug test." And I said, "Well, I'm not taking the drug test. I'm going through a divorce. It's not protected by HIPAA. It will become public. I don't want to do this to my family. I'm telling you, I used cocaine and I drank. Is that not good enough? Come back." And they said no, for whatever reason, and I'm not blaming them. This is not their fault. I walked out, and I knew Lincoln Park was a kind of open-air drug market. I saw a woman that was kind of famous in the area since I had been in college, literally for 20 years, that I would see in the streets around, DC, in that area where I worked for a long time. And I went up to her and I said, "Can I get some crack?"
Wow.
And I think it was basically, I said, "Can you help me commit suicide?" I mean, I don't think, I know that now, and looking back, it was the coward's way. And I really mean that. I was a coward. I didn't go and just do it. I said, let me do it this way. And really, really, really drag everybody down with me along the way. Let me figure out the way not only to kill myself, but to maybe kill my dad.
Oh wow.
Really hurt my family. Particularly my 3 daughters who adore me and I adore. Just the fact. And I smoke crack. And the difference between crack cocaine and powder cocaine is this. And I really do not want to give a roadmap for people to be able to do this, because I swear to God, it'll kill you. But it's sodium bicarbonate with soda, water, heat. That's it. That's all. That is the entire difference of it, which allows it to be ingested through smoking. And the combination of those things makes it so that it affects your physiology much faster than it would be if you just use powder cocaine through your nose or in any other form other than intravenously. And it also allows you to ingest more faster than you could possibly ever ingest by sniffing cocaine up your nose. The combination of that, the combination of combustion, ritual, and the ritual meaning the way in which you have to, I can still doing it, is, becomes this ritual thing with the combination of combustion, which is, and I mean, if you really study things about addiction, is these kind of key components of oral fixation and things like that. It just becomes the most ungodly addiction that you can possibly imagine, to the point where I was smoking crack. You know, I mean, literally, you know, I was either looking for or smoking or recovering, not even recovering, you don't recover, you just go find more for close to a 2-year period of time.
Wow.
And it took me to places, you know, I wrote all about it. And I got made fun of about it. And, you know, people think that, you know, when I wrote my book, like, you know, clawing through the carpet to find crack cocaine and, you know, Parmesan cheese and, you know, and I know it's a real laugh line, but anybody that's ever been an addict like that, they don't laugh about it. It's devastating. Think that you were that person. You can see yourself doing it.
Oh, wow.
Just devastating. And so what happens in addiction so often is this, is people not only, they can't admit that, they can't even admit it to themselves, they just block it out. They go, they get 30 days clean, they come out, they go back into the same exact situation that they were in before, and they think, I'm just not gonna do it again. I'm just gonna stay, you know, like, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it. And what will come up is that they'll wake up in the morning and they'll remember that time in the motel with the, you know, the person, the prostitute that brought you the drugs, and that just stole your wallet and all your and all your drugs and everything, and you had to you were clawing through carpet to see if there was anything there.
I agree.
And you
The
smoked
hardest,
whatever
most
white that you found on the
rewarding
ground.
thing is, I mean,
Like,
thing
it's
to do
the shame.
in life.
It's thinking of yourself like that,
Y'all,
regardless
please
of who
hit the
you are,
like
regardless
button.
of where you came from, whether your dad's the president of your...
Please hit the like button. Double tap the face of your phone if that's how you're listening. Or hit those 3 dots at the top right corner. I'm going to have to go ahead and wait. Come on, y'all. The quicker y'all hit like button. Can y'all hear and see this thing? I don't know why it's not showing the back. Can y'all hear me? I mean, maybe that's why my likes ain't went up. Y'all can't hear. Can y'all hear me? My likes ain't went up. I'm finna shut it down, y'all. I'm finna have to shut it down. Double tap the face of your phone or hit those 3 dots at the top right corner, or I'm gonna shut it down. So someone took their like back. So just so you know that I'm going to randomly, if my likes ain't up, I'm just gonna end it. What time is it? Okay.
United States, or it doesn't matter. And they don't admit that to themselves. They don't admit it to anyone around them. Don't ever say it. And you know what happens? They never lose it. And it sits
I'm
like
about
right here,
to, because
like
the lights are
back
not
of your
up.
head, and it
And
pops
it's
up.
almost
And
midnight.
you just
I'm not
feel
taking it.
so disgusted with yourself.
I'm not finna
that
take it
your brain
without
immediately tells
any
you,
support.
regardless of how
And
far
the
away
lights
you
are
are from
not
a drinking
right. I'm gonna
drug,
go ahead and
like,
end it.
I
Y'all,
know the
good
way not
night.
to feel this way. I know exactly how to feel this way. You're